Well, joining us next, first appearance on BYU Sports Nation. Happy to welcome in the West Coast Conference Commissioner Gloria Nevarez, one of 10 female commissioners, Division I. First Latin American woman to be a commissioner in D1 as well on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. Gloria, welcome to BYU Sports Nation.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
We're glad to have you. What was enticing about this opportunity that made you want to try and become the commissioner of the West Coast Conference?
You know, it's a really special league. I had worked in the league previously 11 years earlier, so I had a good working knowledge of what was under the hood. But most recently, the league has really demonstrated a commitment to excellence in basketball. And, you know, they really have not shied away from being innovative in their pursuit of that excellence.
We were kind of joking with you off air before the interview began. And what was it like to enter the league, getting the job, and then immediately having to deal with the whole Gonzaga situation about possibly leaving for another conference?
Yeah, that certainly is an unorthodox way to begin one's tenure as commissioner. But I will say, and it's a credit to the special nature of the league, the transparency and respect with which folks communicated about the issues. There were no surprises for me. And frankly, I was the last leg of that whole relay. A lot of conversation and work had been done prior, so it was pretty close to being resolved. And then I think the final word was published the day I started the office. So,
well, it looked like you did it, so let's just give you all the credit for that. Is that okay?
Okay, I'll take it where I can get it.
And Jeff Toriel, I guess. We'll give Jeff some credit. We love Jeff. Okay, so when you were in the league before, BYU was not in the league, and then you went to the Pac-12. BYU joins the league. So what kind of addition is BYU to the West Coast Conference, in your opinion?
Oh, BYU obviously is a fantastic addition and a cultural fit. We have a mission and set of values that very similar to BYU. As far as faith-based and education of the holistic person and valuing the student-athlete. I think they've been a tremendous asset to the league. They came in right at the top as far as sports performance. And, you know, because of their commitment to football, they have a lot of things they do at a different level. And I think they've been a great sharing of best practices, I guess, and a great perspective in the room for the rest of our schools.
Gloria, not only did we want to talk to you and introduce ourselves to you and vice versa, we wanted to get your opinion on the news that came out yesterday in terms of the schedule being released. There's now a new format within the conference where it's 16 games, which means that you're going to play two teams only once. What is the process like in determining who plays who and where and who the teams are that you're only going to play once? What was that process like in going through?
Yeah, so, and, you know, that's a testament, again, to the league being nimble and innovative and willing to strike out and try things that will help us excel in basketball. And this model addresses the impact of the RPI on scheduling and NCAA selection. And you asked about the process of how we come up with the matchups that were just released yesterday. And it's a three-part analysis based on multi-year RPI, last year's tournament seeding, and a spring survey of the WCC head coaches. So we're trying to get at a predictive model that gets at what the strength of the league will be in the coming year.
Is that predictive model played out over several years, or will you evaluate it year to year? Like, will you try and make it a fair rotation, or will it just be like, hey, let's match up advantageous matchups?
The model started from scratch year by year. So to your question, it does take in prior years because it's a multi-year RPI, but we do not reach in and try to manufacture certain matchups. It's totally reliant on the algorithm that we've set up.
So is that set up for, say, 8 or 10 years or something?
Well, it's our conference policy until we change it. And I have a feeling if the NCAA or when the NCAA changes their RPI, we may have to reevaluate this algorithm and how greatly we weight RPI or the metric that the NCAA uses. Does that make sense?
Yes. And another follow-up. So do you know, like, who's playing who for the next several set of years based on the algorithm, or is that a year-to-year look at?
No, year-to-year.
Gotcha.
So now you mentioned, you know, that you're trying to take advantage of the way that things are set up currently. Can you go a little bit more into detail in terms of the benefit of scheduling that this is for the conference?
So in our league, we've moved to 16-game regular season schedule, which allows each team 2 additional opportunities to schedule non-conference games. And we know the RPI, you try to schedule what you can control. You can't really control conference play. It is what it is. So a lot of the subjectivity goes into analysis and planning for non-conference. So allowing our schools to have these 2 extra opportunities gives those a chance to create their schedules based on their needs in any given year. If you're a team looking for seeding, you can schedule those 2 contests accordingly. If you're looking to get yourself off the bubble and be selected, you're going to take a different tack with those 2 opportunities. And if you're in a rebuilding year, you'll be looking at those completely different. So it allows our schools more opportunity to customize their schedules to their needs in a given year.
We're talking with the West Coast Conference Commissioner, Gloria Nevarez, on BYU Sports Nation. In the algorithm, is it advantageous to avoid Gonzaga, BYU, and St. Mary's potentially matching up only once? Is it desirable for all of them to play each other twice?
It is desirable for them. Well, 2 separate questions. Yes, it's desirable to have your strong teams play each other because you know they're going to be strong and they help each other's RPI. I think from a cultural perspective and league unity, it's good to have your teams play each other and produce great home games and experiences for fans. And I think in this algorithm, because it's based on past success, as long as they are performing the way they perform, that should play out naturally in the process, that they play each other twice.
I'm curious your perspective on the state of the conference right now. Not only are those changes that we just discussed in terms of format and scheduling in now, but over the last couple of seasons, you've had new coaches coming in for the basketball teams. What's the state of the conference right now?
That's one of the things that attracted me to the job and really excites me about being part of this league. There is a demonstrated commitment to excellence in basketball, both and you touched on the coaching hires that we've done recently, the commitment to facility upgrades, the recruiting efforts. I just think league-wide we're at a really great tipping point where folks are really looking forward to taking their programs to that next level. We have some that are already there, and their challenge is to stay there, and then we have some that are really looking to elevate, and I don't know that we've had that consistently top to bottom in this league or, frankly, in my experience in any league.
When will the league add football so San Diego and BYU aren't the only 2? I'm half kidding.
Wouldn't that be fun?
There used to be, right? There was a history of football in the past in the West Coast Conference.
A very strong history, yes.
San Diego and BYU should at least match up, though. FCS versus at some point we need the West Coast Conference Cup or something.
Exactly.
Would you be in favor of that?
Yeah. I'll let Tom Homo and Bill McGillis have that discussion.
What is your vision of this conference moving forward?
The WCC is such a great league based on all the reasons that we love being in the Western region. We have great institutions. If you had the opportunity to travel to these places, they're all vacation destinations. They're idyllic. They have great educations. This commitment to basketball makes it a great fan experience. And, I really my vision is to just elevate that message. People need to know who we are and what we're about because it's a product worth embracing, getting to know this league.
Gloria, you've lived in the Bay Area for a long time now. Were you happy with the result in Game 1 of the NBA Finals?
Absolutely. I'm a huge Warriors fan.
Yeah. Do you know the score at all times, Gloria?
I'm sorry?
Do you know the score at all times?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. That's important. Gloria, we appreciate your time. Great insight, thoughtful responses, and we look forward to seeing and talking to you a bunch, especially in Las Vegas come March.
Yes, thank you. I look forward to the continued conversation.
Okay, thanks, Gloria. That's Gloria Nevarez, West Coast Conference Commissioner on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. Deseret First, your values, your timeline, your financial future. As long as she always knows the score, that's a commissioner that you want.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting
Very
insight
impressed.
about, yes, impressive.